Welcome back to another episode of the Any Given Day podcast. This is our Conference Championship Week episode. You're going to be getting our top 25 reactions, along with some coaching carousel chaos and some transfer portal mayhem, as well as our thoughts on the Conference Championship games. So sit back, relax, and get ready for another exciting episode of the Any Given Day podcast. All right, so we'll jump right into it. Start off with our top 25 reactions. So, to me, this seems about right. A couple complaints, but in the grand scheme, I don't guess it really super matters. I don't love Ohio State being above Texas. To me, it looks like the committee's basically saying Ohio State would be in over Texas, assuming like Florida State lost and Oregon lost, that Ohio State would jump in at 4. But in the grand scheme of things, I think assuming Texas wins the Big 12, they probably jump Ohio State for that 4 spot, if that chaos did happen. But other than that, I don't really have any huge concerns other than Tennessee still being ranked 21. But, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm in agreement. One thing we have to stop doing is just being like, "Oh, I agree" all the time. We need to be like, "Hey, here's my thoughts. Here's my opinions. Like, here's my thought. The fact that they openly acknowledged that, hey, Georgia was resting a bunch of their starters. A bunch of their starters did not play during the Georgia Tech game, and that's the reason why they went ahead and kept them ahead of Michigan. I thought that was a great thing to do on their part to kind of go and explain it. But I will say, I also get where they're coming from with Ohio State being at 6 still. And I think that fact comes in that when you compare Texas's loss and Ohio State's 1 loss, Texas lost to a far worse team than Michigan. Ohio State was ranked number 2. They lost to the number 3 team in the country, and that's why they only fell down to 6. I don't think Ohio State's still in it because, like you said, if Texas wins, they're going to jump them. If Alabama wins, they could jump them. FSU wins out. They should, in theory, they should still be in. I don't know if they really should be, but it is what it is at this point. Washington wins, they're in. Oregon wins, they're in. So the Pac-12 is already a lock. Michigan, more than likely, is a lock. FSU is a possible lock, depending. And then I think the winner of the SEC should be in. So, not really that much to talk about on this one. But you know what? There is a lot to talk about.
What?
About what's happening over in Arkansas. With Bobby Petrino being hired as the new OC at Arkansas.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me at all, especially with the history.
Ooh.
But
it just
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Personally, I don't really like him as a coach in general.
Well, we're Falcons fans, man. Of course we don't like him.
This is true.
He screwed us over.
He screwed a lot of places over.
Yes. Yes, he did.
You'd assume at some point places would stop hiring him because he just keeps doing stupid stuff. But, maybe Arkansas sees something in him. Or maybe they just like pain.
Maybe that, but they do need a new offensive identity. I think that is why they hired him. And I do look at it, and I'm so confused by it still yet. It doesn't It's so weird. I never thought I would see the day that he would be back at Arkansas after he did what he did. It was just a very insane situation. It's still a meme to this day, right?
Yeah,
We're talking about the guy who went and had an affair. It was an affair on both sides because the chick he was having external relations with was also engaged, and her husband or her fiance at the time also worked at the University of Arkansas. And lo and behold, they got in a wreck on a motorcycle at some point, and he just shows up to that press conference with a collar. The face is just beaten. And there's still thoughts and conspiracy theories that it wasn't actually a motorcycle; it was the fiance of that chick. So I
yeah,
don't know. It's stupid. It's stupid, and but I do
it
worry
is.
that I worry that he might try to cause a coup and to take over the head coaching job from Pittman. You know, uh,
Yeah,
I do worry about that, but we'll see. We'll see.
yeah,
That's it's astounding. Other coaching news. Fran Brown, Georgia's one of Georgia's defensive back coaches. He's now officially been hired as the next head coach of Syracuse, which, for those of you who are not as informed, that's kind of the area he came from. He was a defensive backs coach over at Rutgers before he got hired on over at Georgia. Um, he's great recruiter, especially up in that Northeast area. Uh, he he knows he knows what he's doing. He it's a bit of a jump, I would say, going straight from a position coach to a head coach position, especially at a Power Five school and a Power Five conference. But you know, it's happened before. You look at Sam Pittman, who we were just talking about a bit. He was hired from he was hired on as Arkansas's head coach from being Georgia's O line coach. He'd never been a coordinator before. Fran Brown's never been a coordinator before. I'm actually kind of shocked that they went ahead and hired him as their next head coach, but apparently they liked what they saw with him and they liked his pitch, and hey, best to him. I hope it works. I hope it works out. You know, you got any thoughts at all about this or
I mean, like you said, it's quite a jump to go from positions coach to head coach without any real experience as a coordinator or play calling experience. Honestly, it like you said, very very similar to Sam Pittman. It's just he's very familiar with that location, which I think is going to help him a lot with recruiting, and maybe he can get some good players into that Syracuse team, and maybe he can go somewhere with it. Obviously, it will remain to be seen until he's coached a couple games as a head coach. But if he can get a good offensive coordinator in there with him and kind of take lessons he's learned from Kirby in the short time he's been at Georgia, I think he'll do good, and I think he'll do okay. It takes time, but I definitely think this could work out for Syracuse. It's not the worst hire they could have done. Because I'm sure he's
no?
learned quite a bit from Kirby. Um, so we'll see how that goes. Some big news though. Sean Lewis is set to be the San Diego State's new head coach. I mean, what is happening in Colorado? It just seems like a mass exodus of coaches, and players are decommitting and some of them are transferring. I mean, what is happening at Colorado?
Well, if you ask Sports Illustrated, Deion Sanders is Sports Person of the Year. If you actually go and look at see what's happening, you'll realize, yes, he did good for Colorado. He he increased their win total from 1 win last year to 4 wins this year. That's great. but he was talking a lot. They were talking a lot. The players got real cocky. Oh, we might be, you know, we might be New Year's Six Bowl eligible. Da, 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 da. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's that was never going to happen, and I feel like we've said it multiple times. 4 wins. Their year the preseason over under total for wins I think was 3.5. They got 4, or it might have been 2.5. Either way, they went over it. This was a great season for a rebuilding team. But when things didn't go his way, he did something stupid. He demoted Sean Lewis. And I never want to be the guy to go and say anything about nepotism. But part of me wonders if Shador Sanders was like, nah, Pop, this guy ain't working. We need him in instead of him as the play caller. And then the offense got worse. I don't want to go and just say that's how it is. I don't want to believe that's how it is. I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. But it kind of scratches at the back of my mind. Like, did that happen? Did it? Or am I just making a big hullabaloo out of nothing? Because Sean Lewis gave up a head coaching job over at Kent State to be their new offense coordinator over at Colorado. And now he's going to be a head coach over at San Diego State. So I think the argument could be made, even, that Sean Lewis should have been the new head coach over at Colorado instead of Dion, but they went for the sexy hire, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that whole situation over there is getting way out of hand. It seems like a lot of pointing fingers and blaming anybody but themselves. It's always, it seems like all year it was, oh, it's not Dion's fault, or it's not Shador Sanders' fault. This offensive line is just garbage, or the play calling's garbage. And it's like, well, has anybody ever thought that this team won one game last year? And it's not like you can go from winning one game to winning, 12 and being undefeated going into a conference championship game. It's just not realistic. Even with transfers, I mean, you got to learn a whole new system and everything like that. So, I mean, to me, it just seems like it was a whole mess, and maybe they'll get it figured out next year. Maybe this whole Dion thing won't work, and Colorado's going to look like a bunch of idiots.
Who knows at this point? Who
right.
really does?
I mean, like, it's just a shame because Sean Lewis gave up a head coaching job with the hopes of being a successful offensive coordinator there at Colorado and maybe getting a bigger Power 5 head coaching job. Yeah. But now he's back in the group of 5 with arguably a sideways move from Kent State, maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse. It's kind of right there. So, yeah.
I'd say like better.
It's just a shame that this whole thing didn't work out for anybody. Which, last year they had one conference win. This year, one conference win. So, in conference, they stayed the same. Granted, they did win 3 other games. So,
but at the same time, I will say at the same time, the Pac-12 was probably the best it's been in a while this year.
Oh yes.
So, and they were close to knocking off USC. I'll give them that.
Yeah, they came back late in that game. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes for Colorado, and congratulations to Sean Lewis getting out of that situation where it seemed like it was just a lose. It was a win-win for both. Obviously, Dion wanted to move on from him, and he wanted to move on from Dion, so he gets to be a head coach again, and hopefully get a shot to be a Power 5 head coach, and Dion gets to blame somebody else next year. So,
there was another move that happened earlier this morning for us. We're recording on a Thursday night, and hopefully this will be uploaded Friday morning.
Yep.
Kirk Cinetti over at James Madison they are finalizing a deal for him to be the new head coach over at Indiana. I would like to say, great for him. He's a Power 5 coach now, but at the same time, I can't help but feel that that might be a step down in ways. Now, granted, if he can get the boosters behind the football team, he's a good enough coach to where he could probably go and cause some chaos, um, and go and possibly get a better coaching job in the future. Maybe, just depends.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely at face value seems like a step down because obviously you're going from a one loss team to a bottom feeder in the Big Ten, but it is a Power Five coaching job, and in the grand scheme, even if James Madison goes undefeated, I doubt that they're going to make it in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, at any chance, if he can have any sort of success, and obviously he took James Madison to have quite a lot of success in their first 2 years, um, in the FBS football. So, hopefully he can figure something out for Indiana. It'll remain to be seen, but hopefully it seems like a good hire at face value. So obviously a step down, but sometimes you gotta take a step down to take a step back up. So
I I can make the argument that he would actually have a better shot of making the playoffs with James Madison than he would with
yes,
Indiana, because they
yes,
have that thing where now you have to get a group of 6 team in, I think, which
yeah.
is
It's the six highest ranked conference champions.
yep.
So
So, and in actuality, it's going to be the Power Four next year, and then the highest
two
from
group of
the
five
other
champions.
conferences. So you're getting to quote unquote group of 5. Yeah, still group of 5,
Yeah, yeah,
which I
pretty
I would be
much.
shocked if Oregon State and Wazoo don't come in and actually put up a heck of a fight in the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, I was fixed to say. I know we haven't talked about that yet. Before we get into the transfer portal news, the Pac-12, Oregon State, and Wazoo have made an agreement with the Mountain West Conference to play a game against each Mountain West team. So each Mountain West team is going to play one West Conference game and play one of Oregon State or Washington State next year. And obviously, Mountain West is probably looking for a complete merger
Mm-hmm.
and hoping to basically make the Mountain West the Pac-12 and just let basically all the Mountain West move up into the Pac-12, um, which is certainly an interesting way of keeping the Pac-12 alive.
I
That's one way to do it. I mean, they got to do something because either they're going to be basically their independents next year,
basically,
and they don't qualify for the Mountain West Conference championship game either. So basically, they're just playing the Mountain West Conference without the chance to play in the Mountain West Conference championship game. So
yeah, it's bad. It's bad,
yeah,
bad, bad.
yeah,
I feel for them, and even if they just do a full merger and they change the Mountain West Conference's name to the Pac-12, I still would not. It would not be the same Pac-12, and
no,
as I would not view it as a Power Five conference anymore.
no. It's basically the Mountain
Granted,
West with Oregon State and Washington State at that point. I mean, it's the
now,
Mountain West.
yeah, granted, I think there was a while there where Boise State could have made an argument that they could have made a jump to a Power Five conference, because they were playing lights out for a while
Yeah,
there. They were a threat, but like all those years ago. But things have changed.
quite a lot.
You want to go ahead and get over to the portal news?
Yes. Obviously, now buckle up, everybody. It's going to be crazy over the next couple of weeks and months because kids are going to start flying out of your favorite school and you're not going to know why, and nobody does. Um, that's just the way college football is now. But some of the big names we got, so far that have already entered the portal. Dante Moore from UCLA, former 5-star, he's entered the portal.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback. DJ U has entered the portal from Oregon State, obviously because Oregon State's head coach has left. Kamari Wilson, a safety from Florida, former 5-star, he's in the transfer portal. Riley Leonard, quarterback from Duke, obviously Mike Elko leaving Duke, so he's in the transfer portal. Notre Dame and Auburn are considered the favorites for him right now. Cam Ward, the quarterback from Washington State, he's entered the transfer portal. EJ Smith, grad transfer from Stanford, Emmitt Smith's son, he has entered the transfer portal. And Max Johnson from Texas A&M entered the transfer portal and committed to North Carolina almost immediately. So, this is just the beginning. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to get crazier and crazier, especially once bowl games get done and a lot of these playoff teams get done playing. It's going to be crazy. There are going to be mass exoduses of these players. Do not be shocked if you see some big name guys leave some of these big name schools because they're buried on the depth chart because these teams are stacked.
Yep.
I mean, it's just the way college football is now. If especially with money, I mean, the amount of times just over the last day or two, I've seen, to get away from the transfer portal for a second, of players that could go to the draft and probably should go to the draft are getting offered huge NIL deals to stay. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, I saw today Marvin Harrison Jr. could have like a multi-million-dollar, like double-digit million-dollar deal to stay at Ohio State for next year instead of going into the draft. Caleb
Oof.
Williams could have a massive deal to stay at USC for one more year instead of going into the draft. I mean, it's like, so these kids are going to go wherever the money is. Obviously, you're going to have some kids that are loyal and want to stay because they love that college. But some of them are going to chase the money because they know they can get big money somewhere else, and some of these schools aren't going to pay it or can't pay it. So,
Yep.
I mean, which is another reason why these group of 5 conferences are basically training grounds for your blue blood colleges. I mean, you can't get into Georgia out of high school. Let's go to Georgia State for a year or two, enter the transfer portal, and then go to Georgia, or then go to Ohio State, or Michigan, or Alabama, or Tennessee. That's what you're going to start seeing is these group of 5 schools are basically going to be minor leagues for your Power 5 conferences, which is a shame. But, I mean, it's just chaos to me. I hate it, personally. I don't know how you feel about it. I just, like, it's good for the players. I get it because coaches can leave whenever they want to, so why is it fair for the coaches to do it and the players not be able to leave and play immediately? I get it, but at the same time, it's getting out of hand, I think. I think it's gone a step too far, if that makes sense. I mean, what are your thoughts on the entire situation?
I'll say that at the end of the day, it could not have come at a worse time because it happened right around, like, right after the COVID year. And that was also the year where you had the NCAA come down and say, hey, everyone that was on a team, a collegiate team this year, guess what? We're going to grant you an extra year, an extra COVID year. And you're giving a lot of these guys, you're seeing a lot of these guys, like JT Daniels, he transferred like he's transferred 3 different times. He started out over at USC. He transferred from there to Georgia, from Georgia to West Virginia, and now from West Virginia to Rice. He's at his 4th school. Max Johnson is going to be at his 3rd school. You're seeing a lot of these guys. DJU is looking at being at his 3rd school. Like I just it's rough, man, because you're looking at it and they just picked a poor time to do it because now all of a sudden you got all these kids who are coming in and like up from high school and they're not getting. They might be a D1 talent, but you'll see a coach go and pick someone coming from the transfer portal over them, and it's stupid. And that ugh. It's stupid because you combine the transfer portal rules with the NIL with that COVID year. It was just a massive screw up by the NCAA. I do believe that. Um, You're looking at, like I said, you're looking at guys who are getting all these NIL deals. Like you look at A.D. Mitchell when he left from Georgia to Texas. Part of it was so he could be close to his family, yes, but Texas also came in with this massive NIL deal. And now all of a sudden, that's one less roster spot for, say, a kid from up in, I don't know, New Jersey or something, right? So, some hotshot receiver right there who could have been good, but now he has to go to FCS or a smaller D2 school. And it's rough to watch it. They need to get a grip on it. They need to get this figured out. I feel like I've been rambling more than like I feel like none of that has really made sense.
No, it all made sense. It all made sense. I promise. It sounded good. But yeah,
you will learn people sometimes. I get to going and I don't even think I make sense sometimes. But ask Bonner. He's dealt with it multiple times. I'll switch subjects just like.
Yep. It's
Speaking
okay.
of, you want to get into the game?
Let's get into the games, folks.
you.
We're going to start off with our Friday slate. Game 1 is going to be New Mexico State versus number 24 Liberty, the Conference USA championship game. Liberty is favored by 10 points. Over-under is 55.5. I mean, it is hard to, it's hard to beat the same team twice, right? It's the old saying, it's hard to beat the same team twice. But Liberty is probably the best team in Conference USA by a large margin.
Liberty right here, New Mexico State right here. I think Liberty wins, possibly pretty handedly. I don't know. Just it depends on how New Mexico State's still feeling after that upset win over Auburn. That skulljagging they gave them.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think Liberty rolls.
Next game's going to be the Pac-12 Championship. It is happening on a Friday. Kickoff is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get them, broadcast throughout the entirety of the country. Number 5 Oregon versus number 3 Washington. This is a rematch that I bet Dan Lanning has been licking his chops for. He's been waiting for this. And it's like you said, it's rough. It's tough, not rough, to beat the same team twice in a single season, especially when you only won by a field goal at your home stadium because the other head coach kept going for it on 4th downs.
Some of the worst coaching I've ever seen.
Reckless coaching. Some of the most reckless coaching we've ever seen. I won't say worst just yet, but...
No, it could go down in history.
Possibly. I think Oregon wins this one. And the line for this one's Oregon minus 9.5. At least it was a few days ago when I typed up the lines and everything, and I looked them up and everything. So I don't think it's moved much towards Washington direction.
I think it's moved away, actually.
If anything, it's moved further, yeah. So over-under for this one, 66.5. I don't know. I'd say pound the over and Oregon to cover, possibly.
Like you said, and like I said earlier, it's tough to beat the same team twice. But I just have a feeling that Dan Lanning is going to let his pride get in the way. And he's going to be coaching super uber aggressive again because he doesn't want to lose to Washington. He's going to be out for revenge. And he's going to want to beat Washington. And I think he's going to be aggressive. But I think he's going to be too aggressive. And I think Washington is going to win a close one and secure their way into the college football playoffs.
I'm actually shocked by that. But, okay, that is your choice. Your choice. Wow, okay. Still kind of.
Yeah, we'll see. Moving on to our Saturday slate. Game 3 to start off the day. Well, not start off the day, but it's first game in this list. SMU, yeah, really. SMU versus number 22 Tulane. That is the American Conference Championship game. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Tulane favored by 4 points. Over unders 4. This could be close because SMU's looked really good this year. Tulane obviously has looked good this year as well, and they're fighting for that New Year's Six game from the highest ranked Group of Five conference conference team in general, and they're hoping for that. So I think that's going to be a big incentivizer for them in this game, and I think that's going to push them to play hard. And obviously, the pride of winning a conference championship as well is going to push Tulane ahead in this one, and I think it'll be close, but Tulane's going to pull it out.
I'm not going to doubt Willie Fritz. I think Tulane wins. Like you said, it might be close, especially SMU might be fired up that they're going to be part of a Power Five, like a big, powerful conference again. Um, since they're joining the ACC next year. Let me rephrase that. Powerful conference. But yeah, I still think Tulane wins this one. I agree with you. I don't see a way Tulane loses it right now, at least. Next game's going to be the Big 12 championship. This one kicks off at noon. It is between number 18 Oklahoma State versus number 7 Texas. And I'll go ahead and give props to Josh Pate. He is the one who called this for Oklahoma State to be in the Big 12 championship.
Early.
Early before the loss to South Alabama, and he stuck with it after. And lo and behold, here they are. Just imagine what could happen if Mike Gundy, the newly named Big 12 Coach of the Year, Mike Gundy, was able to go and upset Texas right as they're fixing to leave the Big 12 to go to the SEC. Cost them a chance at the playoffs, all this. I don't think it'll happen. I think Texas wins this one. I think they roll them. But I wouldn't be shocked if this one is closer than people think. So I picked Texas to win, but Oklahoma State might give them a fight. Those Cowboys might just give them a fight to remember.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Texas is going to want to win this game because it's going to be their last year in the Big 12, and what would be a bigger FU other than to win the Big 12 championship game going, your last year in the conference before leaving for the SEC. But I'm sure the Big 12 commissioner would also like Oklahoma to basically spoil Texas's day and take that away from them in their final year as a big FU to Texas. But I just think overall, talent-wise, Texas is more talented than Oklahoma State. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if it's super close, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Texas blows them out. So I'm thinking Texas rolls this one. They probably win by about 17.
Oh, so you're picking them to cover. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Next game is number 16 Iowa versus number 2 Michigan. It's the Big Ten championship game. It'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern. Michigan is favored by 23. Over-under is only 35.5. That's a heck of a line right there compared with an over-under. Under. Now, realistically, Michigan should come in this game and roll. But Harbaugh has basically went into a press conference and said Iowa doesn't have a chance in this game. And basically, in not so many words, he said Iowa doesn't have a chance in this game, basically. So, if there's anything I've learned as a Georgia fan from Kirby Smart, it is you do not give the other team bulletin board material.
Especially a defensive.
And apparently Harbaugh didn't get that memo in the national coaches meeting that they have every year. So, because of that, if I'm betting on this game, I am taking Iowa to cover, and I am taking the under. But I think just Michigan's a better team, and they'll probably pull it out, but I think it's going to be a whole lot closer than people think it will be. because I was going to come in there pissed off, and they're going to give Michigan the fight of their life.
This will be arguably the best defense that Michigan will play all year. Will have played all year up to this point. Um, God forbid they play an SEC team again.
You think they're better than Ohio State defensively?
Yes, Kirk Ferentz
Okay.
might have anemic offenses left and right, but Dan Gummit, if that man does not know how to coach a defense, he knows what he's doing on that side of the ball. Um, so very much, I think this will be one of the tougher defenses they'll have to have faced all year. I think Michigan's going to win, but and I would be shocked if Iowa wins, but I would love it if they did, because if
Oh,
Iowa
for
wins
chaos
this,
sake, yeah.
not even for chaos, just because this. I know we're supposed to be unbiased and everything, but screw Michigan, man. At this point, nah, screw them. They're wanting to go and sit there and play the victim. They're wanting to sit there and say, "Oh, it's us against everyone." No, it's y'all against yourselves because y'all got caught cheating. It was so
Jesus.
stupid on your part to do that. Like you were. That's like shooting yourself in the foot and trying to throw the gun at somebody, landing in a trash can and saying, "Oh, the trash can shot me."
Jesus Christ. Oh.
I'm fed up
I
with
agree.
them. I'm fed up with them. I just shut up about Michigan. There was an episode a few weeks ago where we literally both cracked beers before we started talking about it, just because we were done with it already. Just holy crap! Let's put their season to an end. Let's send Harbaugh off to the NFL and be done with his stupid tacky pants.
Jesus. All right.
But yes, Michigan should win this one. I'm picking them to win. But dear God, I'm pulling for Iowa to pull the upset. I hope I'm wrong about it.
Yeah.
Next game is the ACC championship between number 14 Louisville versus number 4 FSU. Give me a second. That will be kicked off at 8. The line was -2.5 FSU when I first found it. Since then, it has gone down a bit, closer towards Louisville. I would not be shocked if by kickoff they're a full-blown favorite, especially seeing as it is very much. It's looking like Tate Rodemaker is in concussion protocol right now, and he is probably not going to be eligible to play in this game, which sucks for Florida State. I hate it for their fans. I hate it for the team. It's a travesty at this point. It really is. You hate to see this happen because they were such a good team all year. And then the North Alabama game happened. It's a pretty simple scenario here. FSU wins, then in theory they should be in. They'd be an undefeated conference champion. Would they be one of the 4 best teams? No, they wouldn't. But they'd still be an undefeated Power 5 conference champion. And you'd have to put them in. Do I think they'll win? I'll put a caveat here. If Rodemaker is in and he plays, I think FSU wins. If it is the 3rd string QB in, FSU will lose this one to Louisville. So, there.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Because if Jordan Travis is still playing, it's not even a question that they're in the playoffs. Because I don't think it's close. They probably win this game by a landslide with Jordan Travis in at quarterback.
Yep.
But without him, it becomes closer with Rodemaker. Without Rodemaker, it becomes way too close for comfort for Florida State fans.
Yes.
And you can already see that with that line moving down. And again, you're right. I would not be surprised if Louisville is a full-blown favorite. before this game kicks off at 8. I mean, you got all day tomorrow and all the way till 8 o'clock on Saturday to find out, you know, what's really going on with this quarterback situation. Now, granted, nothing is confirmed yet, but that's kind of the rumors that are going around is that Rodemaker is in concussion protocol. I mean, I want Florida State to win bad. I like Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked Florida State, and they've had a great year, and
For
that's a
the
really
2 more
great
years.
team. Yeah. I mean, this team's a really great team, and they deserve it
Mm-hmm.
after the year they've had, but I just feel like they've had too much bad luck over the last couple of weeks at quarterback to pull this
You
one
ain't
out. So
kidding.
I think Louisville wins this regardless.
Moving on to our last game. Um, Actually, real quick. Apparently what was the conference? The Mountain West Conference. They have finally decided
Yeah.
who their championship game is going to be decided between. It is going to be UNLV versus Boise State. Um, you got any thoughts on that one, or?
UNLV. They've been pretty good this year. They've been the best team in that conference so far this year. So, uh, claiming ignorance on the fact that I haven't really watched any Mountain West games this year because they're across the country, and I can't be bothered to stay up that late to watch Group of Five football.
Yep.
Um,
Here. There.
UNLV's rolling.
Uh, I'll agree with you only because one, they like you said, they have been a lot better this year, but also the game is going to be in Las Vegas at Allegiant Field. So for them, they can sleep in their own bed. Well, I say sleep in their own beds. They'll still be at a hotel the night before, like most college football teams are. That way they can still have their pregame meetings, all that, and still be in bed on time. So I think Las Vegas wins this one. UNLV wins this one. But moving to our eighth and final game and game of the week. This one basically decides all the marbles, decides whether there's chaos in the playoff selections or not. Number 8 Alabama versus number 1 Georgia. For the SEC championship, it's a 4 p.m. kick. So uh, at Mercedes Benz, currently currently the line's moved from when I first saw it, when I first got it. The line was -6. It's down to -5.5 for Georgia. The over under was when I last saw it, it was 54.5. I'm not sure if it's moved or not.
I don't think it did. I think it was still round about that same number.
Yeah, maybe. I look at it this way when it comes to this game. Both teams, this is going to be a slugfest. Let's just leave it at that and say what it is. This is going to be a slugfest. You've got two of the top defenses in the country going against each other. Um, so the defensive side of the ball is a wash, and it's going to come down to the offensive side of the ball. I think Georgia's offense is more consistent, very much more consistent than Alabama's offense. You look at how many times that Alabama has been in third and long situations, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 18, 4th and 31. Now, granted, that one worked out for them, but still, you're not going to be successful against a Georgia defense if you're like that. Just like Georgia won't be successful against Alabama's defense if they're like that. But when it all comes said and done, Georgia has a more consistent offense. So I will take the more consistent offense when you have equal defenses. I will take the better offense, in a way, the better offense. That's not to say that Jalen Milroe is not a great playmaker, but I think Carson Beck is the better quarterback. So I think Dogs win this one. And also, it kind of hurts Alabama that they've just lost one of their top running backs in Jace McClellan. He's out for the game, officially. So everyone moves up in the depth chart. Roy Dell Williams is probably going to be their main guy. Oof.
Oof. I have one number and two words for you. Georgia by 50.
Oh dear God.
No, I'm just kidding. Listen, in all seriousness, in my mind, right, this game can go two ways. Bama is a very boomer bust offense. That's how they've been all year. It's very shot play. It's shots. That's how they run their offense. They're not, they're very reliant on the shots, which is like you said, they get in those 3rd and 12s, 3rd and 14s. So it's hard to be consistent doing
Oof.
that. So with that being said, I think there's two ways this can go. Alabama is going to either win a close one or Georgia is going to win by about 14.
Mm.
The problem is, a lot of people say, Georgia sat out Brock Bowers, Lad McConkey, Tate Ratledge in that Georgia Tech game. But in Kirby Smart's press conference today, he was saying that it pissed him off that people were saying that. He said, because no, these guys are really hurting. Even today, he doesn't know their status for the SEC championship game. He doesn't know if Brock Bowers, Lad McConkey, or Tate Ratledge are going to play. Is that smoke and mirrors?
Yes.
It absolutely could be. Kirby Smart is absolutely known for keeping that stuff close to the vest, and it could all be smoke and mirrors, and they're going to run out of the freaking tunnel for this SEC championship game. But if they do not play, this game is going to be much, much closer.
Yes.
Than it would be otherwise. If Brock Bowers plays and Lad McConkey plays, those
Tate
two
Ratledge
are hard to
right?
defend. Yeah, I mean, if you have Brock Bowers and Lad McConkey on the field at the same time, that is a hard task for a defense to cover both because both are excellent route runners.
Mm-hmm.
But again, on the Alabama side, Jalen Milroe is the most explosive player on the field at all times when he's out there. He is the most explosive player on the field.
If Georgia is to win this one, they have to keep him contained.
Yes, they got to keep him in the pocket. If they can keep him in the pocket, Georgia has a chance to win this game. If they can keep him in the pocket, Georgia probably wins this game by 14. If they start letting him roll out of the pocket, it could get frisky. But,
Frisky. That's the word you're going with?
Yeah, frisky.
Fair enough.
So, my thought process on my pick here, though, before I get to it, is Jalen Hurts and Jalen Milroe are both very similar players. They have a similar style. That fast, bruising runner that they can run through you, but they're fast. And if we look back to the SEC championship, national championship? National championship, wherever, maybe it was SEC championship. Regardless, whenever Jalen Hurts was in the game against Georgia, and Kirby Smart had an excellent game plan and kept him contained for an entire half of football before the second coming of Christ, Tua Tagovailoa comes in the game, and it was a national championship, wasn't it? Yeah, because it's, yep. Yeah, 2nd and 26. Oof, bad memories. Jeez.
PTSD.
But, yep, my bad.
That's all
but if that's the same, and Kirby has that same mindset going in this game of, well, how did we beat Jalen Hurts? I think they could win this game because Alabama doesn't have a Tua to go to in the second half if they're stopping Jalen. Because, I mean, what are they going to do? Throw Ty Thompson or Tyler Buckner out there? Simpson. I'm sorry. Who am I thinking? Oh, I'm thinking of Oregon. That's my bad. My bad.
Let me put it this way. If Tyler Buckner gets put out there behind that O-line,
some crazy stuff has happened if Tyler Buckner's going out there.
Very crazy, and that Georgia defense will eat him alive.
But yeah, with that being said, I think Georgia wins this one, and I think it's probably like 34-18-ish in that range.
Fair enough.
You got any closing thoughts?
I had some, and then they disappeared. So, yeah, no, not any closing thoughts this time around. I don't think so.
Really? You can't let us down like that. We all look forward to your closing thoughts every week.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. Closing thought. I am going to be reckless at the family Christmas over in Alabama if Georgia wins. If not, I will be too sick to even go over there.
If Georgia wins this game, I will show my butt on the next episode of the podcast. I promise. If they lose, we're not having a podcast next week.
Not literally. Not literally.
No, literally. I am stripping in front of the camera, brother.
No,
I promise.
No. Demonetized. That quick. You know that.
Forever.
Yes!
All right. Well,
I got one more closing thought.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Screw khaki pants.
Okay. Well, we will see you guys Tuesday. Have a good night.